basically, you know, someone who didn't grow up where most of my extended family lives, I wanted a way to kind of, you know, there are photos of myself in these, interspersed within, you know, photos of my grandparents, my extended family, kind of just to, in a way, like interact with them. Or there's photos that there's like photos of me as a younger, you know, as a child with my grandmother who I don't remember. You know, I don't remember her. I don't remember that photo being taken. So it's really funny, I think, the construction of memory and the construction of this history, you know, like piecing it to, like literally piecing it together, constructing it. I think that was what I struggled with at the start, is like, oh, I have to use all of the photo. And it just didn't work out. It was just like too much. And Randy basically told me, like, okay, you know, you can choose what you find interesting. So, for example, in this one, you know, this is part of this traditional dress, Chinese like collar, and so I kind of cut that out. And then my grandmother had this like very interesting smile, and so I cut that out too. So it's kind of like isolating these elements, making it to like, I think a lot of it is to do with like making it fun. Like I really want to have fun with these, and that's kind of popping out or receding, you know, these like very kind of funky shapes. So I wanted to like kind of concentrate on certain groups of photos that I saw. Like, for example, my maternal grandfather, he passed away when really young, so like around his 40s. And the majority of photos that we have of him are like ID photos, right? Passport, citizenship. And for me, my Malaysian passport is the only thing that kind of anchors me to Malaysia apart from my family. So I thought it would be interesting to kind of do, like include elements of what we consider national identity, like markers of this culture, like how, like what if I lose my passport or if I change my citizenship someday, I feel like I won't have the legitimacy to claim myself as Malaysian necessarily. But you know, there are his citizenship papers saying like in 1951 this man became a Malaysian citizen. So kind of playing around with the idea, right? Or you know, there was this group of photos that very like had reddish tones in them, and they were all kind of taken around the same time period in front of this. My grandmother had this like box in the living room where she put a ton of like trinkets. I feel like that's pretty common of like older folks to have. And then it was also the place that all the photos were taken. Like, you know, birthday, okay, we'll take it in front of the box. So, you know, it's kind of like this, a couple of them have this. So right here, this one and that one, I was kind of focusing on these images of my paternal grandfather. The idea of it kind of was to do with his hands. I guess you can't really see. Eventually in my show, I think I'll have them grouped together by this theme, so you can kind of see where I was going with. Basically, he also died when my father was super young. Don't know anything about him, never met him. But his hands, I think, were really interesting because he was really good at making furniture, like really crafty, but he was also like pretty physically abusive. So what does his hands do? Like an actor of this amazing, you know, could create so much beauty, but also was like, you know, terribly violent. So in it, you can kind of see I have like abstract shapes in addition to photos of me and my father together in very like intimate relationship moments, very tender. So kind of speaking to my relationship with my father, but also his relationship with his father, who was kind of larger than life, like, you know, hand. I think, you know, part of it is kind of responding to this, like how these photos are kind of serious sometimes, especially the older black and white ones. And, you know, my grandmother never talked about her youth, right? But I'm assuming she had fun times. You know, it's just like older generations, they don't like talk about like we went crazy, we were wild, you know. It was always like, no, I got up at 4 a.m. and, you know, labored for the family and washed dishes and, you know, so so for example, that one over there kind of talks about this idea of, you know, her, the only way I know her is kind of, she's my grandmother, and she was the mother of 8 children, right? Like, she was never, like, I never knew her as a person. I only knew her in the context of, oh, she cooked for us, she did laundry, and she did all of these things. So you kind of see the interaction of, like, children, babies, and, like, you know, but I guess my question was, like, yeah, you know, who was she?